Ladies and gentlemen, tonight you're about to witness one of those fights that doesn't just test skill, it tests identity, heart, and the very soul of a fighter. Under the bright lights, where every punch echoes louder and every mistake feels heavier, two men stepped into the ring carrying very different stories, but chasing the same destiny. On one side stood Yoenis Tellez, the undefeated Cuban sensation, a rising force who had already begun to turn heads across the boxing world. Calm, composed, and dangerously precise, he entered the ring not just as a champion, but as a statement in motion. This was his moment to prove that he wasn't just another prospect riding hype. He was the real deal. Across from him stood Abass Baraou of Germany, a seasoned, battle-tested warrior, a man who had seen setbacks, learned from them, and returned, sharper, smarter, and more determined than ever. He wasn't here to admire Tellez's rise. He wasn't here to play the underdog. He came with one purpose: to take everything. As the introductions echoed through the arena, you could feel it. This wasn't going to be easy for either man. The bell rang. From the very beginning, Tellez looked exactly like what people expected, a technician with patience. He didn't rush, he didn't panic, he measured. Every movement felt calculated, every punch deliberate. His jab was sharp, his counters even sharper. It was the kind of composure you don't usually see in a fighter with limited professional experience. But Baraou, he didn't flinch. He stepped forward with what he himself described as intelligent pressure. Not reckless aggression, not wild swings, just steady, suffocating presence. He closed the distance, cut off the ring, and forced Tellez into situations he wasn't used to. And that's where the fight began to shift. Early rounds saw both men testing each other, trading moments of brilliance. Tellez landed crisp counters, snapping Baraou's head back with clean shots. But Baraou responded with persistence, digging to the body, sneaking in uppercuts, and refusing to be pushed back. This wasn't a one-sided showcase. This was a chess match with consequences. As the rounds progressed, something subtle but important started happening. Baraou wasn't just surviving, he was adapting. He began timing Tellez's rhythm, slipping inside and landing punches that didn't just score points, they sent a message. Especially that uppercut. Again and again, it found its way through Tellez's guard, snapping his head back and forcing him to rethink his approach. And suddenly, the narrative changed. Tellez, the composed technician, was now being forced onto the back foot. His back touched the ropes more often. His space disappeared. And against a fighter like Baraou, space is everything. The commentators began to notice it too. This wasn't the same comfortable fight people expected for the Cuban prospect. This was work, real work. By the middle rounds, the intensity reached another level. Baraou started to pour it on, not with reckless abandon, but with controlled combinations, 5, 6, 7 punches at a time. None of them necessarily knockout. Blows, but all of them effective. They chipped away, disrupted rhythm, and most importantly, they impressed the judges. Because in boxing, perception matters. And in those moments, it looked like Baraou was dictating the fight. Tellez still had his moments, sharp counters, beautiful combinations, glimpses of brilliance that reminded everyone why he was so highly regarded. But they came in flashes, while Baraou's pressure was constant. Round after round, the tension built. You could see it in Tellez's body language. This was deeper waters than he had ever swum before. 10 fights into his career, and here he was, being dragged into a war against a man who refused to break. And then came the later rounds, where fights are truly decided. Fatigue sets in. Strategy fades. And what's left is instinct. Baraou kept coming, relentless, focused, hungry. His left hand started landing with more authority. His combinations became more confident. He wasn't just competing anymore, he was taking control. At one point, a massive left hand snapped Tellez's head back, the kind of punch that changes everything. You could feel the momentum shifting. The crowd felt it, the commentators felt it, even Tellez felt it. But this is where champions are defined, because instead of folding, Tellez fought back. He dug deep, planted his feet, and fired combinations of his own. Body shots, counters, moments of resistance that reminded everyone, this man is not going down easily. The fight turned into a war of wills. Every exchange felt heavier than the last. Every second mattered. And then, the final round. 12 rounds of punishment, 12 rounds of adjustments, 12 rounds of heart. And now, everything came down to 3 minutes. The bell rang for the last time, and both fighters knew this was it. No more saving energy, no more holding back. Baraou came forward like a man possessed. He knew he had the momentum, and he wasn't about to let it slip away. His punches came in waves, combinations flowing one after another, forcing Tellez into survival mode. But Tellez wasn't just surviving, he was fighting, trading, countering, standing his ground when it mattered most. And then, in the closing seconds of the fight, everything exploded. A brutal exchange. Punches flying from both sides. No defense, no hesitation. Just pure instinct and heart. Baraou unleashed a sequence that seemed endless. A barrage of punches that pushed Tellez to the edge. And then it happened. A knockdown. Late. Dramatic. Decisive. The kind of moment that doesn't just win rounds, it steals fights. The crowd erupted. The commentators lost control, and in that instant, you could feel it. This fight had just been decided. The final bell rang. Both men stood there, exhausted, battered, but proud. Because regardless of the result, they had given everything. But boxing doesn't reward effort alone, it rewards execution. And when the scorecards were read, the story was complete. By unanimous decision, Abass Baraou was declared the winner and the new WBA interim super welterweight champion of the world. Stunning outcome, a defining moment, a reminder that in boxing, nothing is guaranteed. For Baraou, it was redemption. Proof that experience, resilience, and belief can overcome even the brightest rising stars. For Tellez, it was something different. Not just a loss, but a lesson. The kind of fight that doesn't break a fighter, it builds them. Because sometimes, the toughest nights create the strongest champions. And this was one of those nights. So now the question is, what did you see in this fight? Did Baraou take it with sheer pressure and experience? Or did Tellez show flashes of a future superstar, despite the setback? And if these two met again, who would you put your money on? Drop your thoughts below, because this is the kind of fight that deserves to be talked about. And if you want more breakdowns, dramatic storytelling, and unforgettable boxing moments like this, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned. Because trust me, this is only the beginning.